It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. You have been under relentless attack, not only by people, but also by unseen spiritual forces operating through them. You have carried the heavy burden of invisible battles, endured the confusion brought on by lies spoken behind your back, and felt the sting of jealousy from those you once considered trustworthy. Yet, despite all of this, the undeniable truth remains. You are still rising, and that, in itself, is a profound testament to the anointing upon your life. They attempted to shake your confidence, but in the process, you discovered a greater sense of clarity. They tried to drain your spirit, but instead, their efforts only deepened your connection to God. What appeared to be setbacks were, in fact, divine setups, each one strategically designed to prepare you for a higher level of elevation and purpose. What was intended to crush you has, in fact, refined you. The very forces that sought to destroy you have only served to strengthen and purify you. Now you are stepping boldly into a new season, a divine appointment, where no enemy, whether visible or invisible, has the power to obstruct what has already been written in your favor by the hand of God. To help you fully comprehend the magnitude of what you have endured and why every attack ultimately failed, we will break this revelation down into 7 chapters. Each chapter will unveil the spiritual truth behind your trials and the divine purpose beneath your pain. Before we begin this transformative journey, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Understand that this is not merely content. It is a divine confirmation specifically sent for the chosen ones. This message is for those who have been relentlessly battling spiritual warfare, including witchcraft, deceit, and jealousy, yet continue to rise in strength, clarity, and favor. If your spirit resonates with the frequency of this message, I invite you to type the number 77 in the comments right now. Understand that this number is not arbitrary. It is a sacred symbol, a divine signal to the Most High and the universe, declaring that you are standing firm, spiritually aligned, and fully prepared to step into the victory that has always belonged to you, regardless of the opposition you've faced. Not everyone will have the strength or spiritual discernment to make it to the end of this message. Only those who are truly chosen, those who have been tested by fire and yet emerged refined, will endure. To those who remain and continue forward with open hearts and unwavering faith, a deeper reward awaits: profound clarity, divine insight, and spiritual understanding of why every force that rose against you ultimately failed to stop your rise, no matter how hard they tried. This is not a message intended to be heard just once. Rather, it is a spiritual blueprint, rich with revelation, that unfolds in layers over time. You are encouraged to revisit it whenever your soul feels drawn, because with each replay, a new divine key will be revealed to you. These truths, once hidden in plain sight, will only become visible when your spirit is fully prepared to receive them. Now, let us begin this journey of deeper understanding. Chapter 1. The target on your back was never random. You may have found yourself asking the difficult question, why me? Why did certain individuals suddenly grow cold without warning or explanation? Why did your name circulate in conversations and environments you've never even entered? Why have you experienced moments of spiritual heaviness with no clear or identifiable cause? Why have your words been twisted, your silence misunderstood, and your inner peace envied even while you were quietly enduring your own battles? The answer lies in the unseen. It is because of the light you carry, the energy you radiate, and the divine calling that rests upon your life. This isn't something you sought out or asked for, yet it is undeniably present. You were not targeted by accident, you were marked by design. The opposition you faced is not a reflection of your weakness, but a reaction to your spiritual authority. You were chosen intentionally, not coincidentally. And with that choosing comes both the weight and the wonder of being set apart. You have always been different, even during the times you tried your best to blend in with those around you. From a young age, you felt things more deeply, perceived things more clearly, and moved through life with a heightened awareness, even if, at the time, you lacked a language to fully articulate what you were experiencing. You are not simply another individual occupying space on this earth. You are someone marked by heaven itself. You have been divinely assigned to shift atmospheres, to break the chains of generational curses, and to carry truth into environments where deception and darkness have reigned for far too long. Your presence is purposeful, your difference is intentional, and your calling is sacred. Because of that, you were perceived as a threat long before you even realized the extent of your own power. The darkness residing within others instinctively recognized the light inherent in you, and spiritual forces operating through people, sensing your potential, sought to sabotage it before it could fully manifest, as those who dwell in darkness can perceive your purpose and aim to diminish your light, even before you become aware of its true brightness, which led to the onset of attacks manifested through gossip, silent treatments, and inexplicable behavior, causing people who once were close to you to suddenly withdraw or turn against you without apparent reason. Not because you changed, but because your growth highlighted their own stagnation, making them uncomfortable simply by the fact that you remain true to yourself. What most people fail to understand is that when you are chosen, you are often subjected to the most intense attacks, even before you become fully aware of your divine assignment. For the enemy invariably seeks to destroy greatness in its earliest stages, as he attempted to do with Moses, with Jesus, and now with you. But what was intended to bury you ultimately served to foster your growth, as every dart aimed at you refined your discernment, every betrayal instructed you to place your trust in the Spirit rather than superficial appearances, and every lie uttered against you fortified your spiritual armor, demonstrating that the target on your back was not accidental but prophetic, and that your pain was far from meaningless, serving instead as undeniable proof of your purpose. Now as you rise with clarity, wisdom, and an authority that cannot be purchased or taught but must be earned through lived experience, it becomes evident that the target placed upon you was intentional. For those who dwell in darkness recognized your inherent danger long before you fully comprehended the magnitude of your own light and power. Chapter 2, it becomes clear that some individuals, believing that dabbling in darkness would hinder your progress, did not merely harbor dislike toward you, but actively sought to destroy you. This animosity transcended petty jealousy or superficial envy, as many went far beyond gossiping behind your back, instead taking their hatred into unseen spiritual realms by engaging in spiritual warfare, with some even resorting to witchcraft, lighting candles while uttering your name, chanting incantations in darkness, sending secret curses behind closed doors, and aligning themselves with energies and entities they did not fully comprehend, all in an effort to thwart you. They acted as they did because they saw in you something that terrified them. Your light unmasked their shadows, your very presence shattered their illusions, your peace unsettled them, your resilience bewildered them, and the unwavering inner radiance you possessed, one that no amount of pain could diminish, incited their fury. You were expected to break, to fold under pressure, to crumble, to lose yourself in despair, or to spiral into fear. Yet contrary to these expectations, you continued to rise, and such strength, especially in the face of relentless attempts to weaken you, drives insecure people to desperation, prompting them to resort to manipulation and attempts to isolate you in hopes that your spirit would grow cold and your vision would become dim. However, here lies the divine truth they never anticipated. You are protected and do not walk this journey alone. For even before you took your first breath, you were assigned angels, and the Most High has encircled you with a hedge of divine fire, ensuring that every spell, hex, curse, or negative word spoken against you has been returned to its sender, amplified by truth and justice. Unaware they were contending with someone of divine rank, whose authority is not of human origin but God-given, making you not merely a survivor but a spiritual warrior, with every attempt to hinder you, only activating a new level of grace over your life, and every trap they set ultimately becoming their own snare. Because no weapon, whether spiritual or physical, formed against a chosen one will ever prosper. Not now, and not ever. And what is even more powerful is that all the darkness they have sent your way is being transformed into light, with every curse they have released serving as fuel for your next elevation. as what they intended for evil, God is already turning for your good. So that although they believed their rituals, gossip, and spiritual manipulations would hinder you, in reality, all they accomplished was to accelerate your awakening and unwittingly assist you in accessing a level of power, purpose, and divine protection that no human hand can touch. You did not merely survive their attacks, but were instead sharpened by them. And now, as you rise, you do so not only with fire burning in your spirit and vision illuminating your soul, but also with the unwavering support of heaven, backing every step you take. Chapter 3. Lies became their preferred weapon of choice when all else failed. Unable to fracture your spirit or diminish your inner strength, they altered their strategy, opting not to confront your resilience directly, but instead to undermine it through deception. When your unwavering growth proved impervious to their efforts, they launched a calculated assault on your character. Recognizing that manipulation could not subdue your essence, they resorted to the tactic they knew best: fabrication. They spread falsehoods about you, deliberately distorting your words, reinterpreting your silence as something sinister, and extracting isolated moments from their rightful context to construct a false version of you, one that bore little resemblance to reality. They fabricated narratives designed to mislead, persuading others to perceive you through a warped and unjust lens. With just enough slander to sow doubt, they carefully tarnished your name, ensuring that even those inclined to trust you began to question who you truly were. Some among them had the audacity to smile warmly in your presence, to embrace you with feigned affection, and to present themselves as allies, all while simultaneously working behind the scenes to systematically poison your reputation. Yet there is a fundamental truth about lies that must be acknowledged. They are inherently feeble weapons, cloaked in the illusion of temporary power. In contrast, truth possesses an enduring and immutable strength. It is eternal. Indeed, the lies inflicted real pain. They succeeded in turning those you once trusted into strangers who averted their gaze and withdrew their support. They ushered in confusion, emotional anguish, and a profound sense of betrayal that left deep scars. Perhaps, in the midst of it all, you sat quietly, your name being dragged through the mud, feeling an urge to speak up, to defend yourself against the distortion. But you knew, instinctively or painfully, that any attempt to clarify the truth would only serve to escalate the drama and give oxygen to the chaos. So you wept, you doubted, you wrestled with the urge to shout the truth from the rooftops, and still you chose silence, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. You chose peace over vindication. And in making that quiet, resolute choice, you demonstrated a level of power, grace, and self-control far beyond anything your detractors could have anticipated. The truth is, they fully anticipated your collapse. They expected the fabricated stories to dismantle your credibility, to sever your connections, and to plunge you into a spiral of self-doubt and despair. Their aim was not merely to harm, but to silence and diminish you. And yet, contrary to their expectations, you rose, steadily, purposefully, and with quiet strength. You continued to build what was yours, to heal wounds they never saw, and to move forward with a resolve so silent it became deafening. With each lie they uttered, with every attempt to tarnish your name, the Most High orchestrated another blessing to appear on your path, positioning divine favor exactly where it was needed. Their deceit never achieved the damage they intended. In fact, the lies failed to land with the destructive force they had so confidently predicted. While they believed they were burying your name under the weight of their falsehoods, they were, in truth, planting the seeds of your legacy, one destined to flourish beyond their reach. And though they sought to turn others against you, all they ultimately achieved was to clear the path, making room for those who were genuine, loyal, and aligned with your purpose to find their way into your life. Yes, you experienced loss, people drifted away, connections fractured, and misunderstandings abounded. Yes, certain doors closed and opportunities appeared to vanish, but those apparent setbacks were not punishments. They were divine subtractions, God's unseen hand of protection operating in disguise. The individuals who chose to walk away in response to rumors and gossip were never divinely appointed to accompany you into the fullness of your destiny. Their departure was not a detour from your purpose, but a necessary clearing of the path before you. The closed doors you once mourned were not manifestations of rejection, but rather instruments of redirection, carefully aligned with a greater plan. And what initially felt like betrayal was, in truth, a profound revelation, an unveiling of who they truly were, but more importantly, of who you truly are. Their betrayal did not destroy you. Instead, it uncovered the depths of your inner fortitude. It exposed the quiet strength you carried, the grace with which you endured adversity, and the divine anointing that rests upon you when you surrender the battle and allow God to fight on your behalf. Now, as the truth gradually emerges and makes its way to the surface, people are beginning to perceive the authentic version of you, causing a profound shift in energy where the very forces that once sought to tear you down are paradoxically being harnessed to build you up before the very eyes that once doubted you. For no falsehood can endure indefinitely, and no weapon, whether physical, spiritual, or verbal, fashioned against one who is chosen can ultimately succeed, especially when one walks steadfastly in truth and is supported by divine favor. Therefore, regardless of what others say, lie about, or assume, you must continue to rise, because the truth invariably vindicates those who stand firmly within it. Chapter 4 reveals that jealousy, often louder than love in certain hearts, is not born out of hatred but rather out of a deep envy for the resilience of your spirit. For these individuals were never truly offended by any wrongdoing on your part, but instead were unsettled by everything you did right, by the way your light illuminated the hidden shadows they sought to keep concealed, by the way your inner peace disrupted the chaos of their ongoing internal battles, and by how your quiet confidence echoed against the loud, unresolved insecurities they have borne for years. Yet in all of this, you were never attempting to outshine or surpass anyone, for your only intention was to endure, to survive, to heal from your wounds, to grow beyond your limitations, and to evolve into the person you were always meant to become. And yet, even that, your quiet progress, your healing, your growth, proved too much for some to handle. For to them, your advancement felt like a personal attack, not because you had wronged them in any way, but because they had failed to make sufficient progress within themselves. And rather than celebrating your journey or clapping for your success, they chose to engage in a silent yet persistent competition, shifting their focus away from their own purpose and directing it instead toward your every move. Not in an effort to understand you, but in a desperate attempt to measure up to you. So instead of offering love, they withheld it. And instead of extending help, they stood by passively, waiting for you to stumble, quietly hoping for your downfall, so they could feel a fleeting sense of superiority. But when it became clear that you would not fall, that you would continue rising despite it all, their quiet envy hardened into open hostility, revealing the truth their silence had long concealed. They observed you, not with the intention of being inspired, but with the calculated aim of finding flaws to criticize or methods to mimic. Because they could not comprehend how someone with your background, your wounds, your history, and your visible scars could still manage to shine so brightly. And rather than humbling themselves to ask how you endured what you did, or how you navigated your path with such resilience, they instead devoted their energy to quietly ensuring you wouldn't progress any further. Yet when their covert competition proved ineffective, when you continued to ascend in spite of their subtle sabotage, they escalated their efforts, attempting to break you not just emotionally, but spiritually and energetically as well. Still, you remain standing, unshaken, and what they continually failed to grasp is this profound truth. Your presence here is no accident, and your strength, every ounce of it, was not inherited, borrowed, or gifted, but paid for in full through experience, endurance, and an unyielding will to overcome. You did not inherit this hard-won wisdom as a mere gift, but earned it through the painful crucible of heartbreak, the sting of disappointment, the sting of rejection, and through trials so heavy and consuming that they would have broken the average person. For your smile has been baptized in countless tears, and your peace has been painstakingly purchased with long, agonizing seasons of spiritual warfare. Yet while others longed for your light, they were unwilling to endure your process, envying the visible fruit while neglecting the hidden root that nourished it. witnessing your walk in victory and naively assuming it came effortlessly, all the while remaining blind to the invisible battles you fought in silence, the prayers you whispered when your strength was gone, and the unwavering faith you clung to when everything around you seemed to collapse. And though they admired the outcome, they dismissed the tremendous cost. An ignorance born not of malice but of assumption, and it is precisely this shallow perception that caused their jealousy to grow. Not because they truly knew your story, but because they never cared to understand the depth of what it took to become who you are. They did not know the full extent of what it took for you to rise, how many times you wanted to give up, but chose to persevere anyway, how you had to lose yourself entirely just to rediscover your true purpose. And here lies the undeniable truth. When love is genuine, it celebrates unconditionally. When love is pure, it supports without judgment or comparison. However, when a person's heart is tainted by insecurity, jealousy inevitably drowns out love's voice, and no matter what you do, it will never be sufficient for those who are determined to misunderstand you. Yet you must hear this clearly and without doubt. Their jealousy is not a reflection of your worth or actions. You were never intended to diminish yourself to accommodate their comfort. And you owe no apologies whatsoever for your elevation or the heights to which you have courageously ascended. Your light is not too bright. Rather, it simply reveals the truths and shadows that others are not yet prepared to confront within themselves. And so you must allow them to experience their feelings without apology or hesitation. For you did not journey this far only to diminish or soften your purpose. Nor did you endure the depths of darkness simply to fade into obscurity among the crowd. Therefore, continue to shine unabashedly, continue to elevate yourself, and persist in showing up fully and authentically in your unique power, knowing that every jealous heart observing your ascent serves only as further confirmation that you are precisely who God declares you to be. And no measure of envy, no amount of resentment can ever alter or diminish that divine truth. Chapter 5. Isolation was a manifestation of God's divine protection during times of overwhelming chaos, spiritual attacks, deceit, and envy. Throughout this tumultuous season, you likely experienced a profound period of isolation, during which people withdrew, friendships dissolved, phone calls ceased, and invitations vanished. It seemed as though everything and everyone dear to you were being systematically stripped away, one by one. Although this experience felt like rejection, in truth, it was an act of divine safeguarding. You did not lose those people. Rather, God intentionally removed them from your life. You were not being ignored. Instead, God silenced the distractions and muted the overwhelming noise surrounding you. You did not fall off the path or fade into obscurity. Rather, you were being deliberately hidden and protected by a higher power. Elevation often requires separation, and before God elevates you to a higher place, He ensures that you are no longer bound or connected to individuals who cannot thrive or breathe at that elevated altitude. The season of isolation was undoubtedly painful. It was marked by loneliness and confusion. During this time, you began to question your worth, your divine calling, and your true identity. You wondered if perhaps you had done something wrong, but the truth is, you had not. In fact, you were doing everything correctly, and precisely because of that, you had to be set apart. God needed to distance you from distractions, to disconnect you from voices that failed to speak life into your soul. It was necessary for Him to sever certain ties that were draining your spirit and obscuring your clarity of judgment. Because of the destination to which you are being called, discernment is not merely optional, it is absolutely essential. God could not permit corrupted or misleading voices to influence a vessel He has divinely chosen and set apart. He needed you to be alone so that He could speak to you with clarity, free from interference. He required your heart to be wholly devoted, your ears untouched by toxic influences, and your attention entirely focused on Him. It was in the silence that He cultivated your inner strength. It was in the stillness that He began to reveal profound truths. Truths about yourself, about others, and about spiritual battles you had not even realized you were fighting. He opened your eyes to perceive what was hidden behind smiles and facades. He refined your spiritual vision so that you could clearly distinguish between what is genuine and what is counterfeit, between loyalty and leeching, between those assigned to your destiny and those merely attached to your presence. In that season of solitude and loneliness, you were being spiritually fortified, prepared for the higher calling ahead. God was intentionally developing you in the hidden places, in the darkness of solitude, so that you could eventually shine with clarity and purpose in the light. During this sacred period, He was equipping you with spiritual tools, divine revelations, deep wisdom, and a level of spiritual authority that can only be cultivated in isolation. He was healing emotional and spiritual wounds, some of which you were not even consciously aware existed. Simultaneously, He was stripping away the aspects of your identity that were still entangled in people-pleasing tendencies, plagued by self-doubt, and built upon false perceptions of who you were. For the reality is this: when you are constantly surrounded by a multitude of voices, it becomes easy to lose touch with your own. Even more significantly, you risk losing the ability to clearly recognize and respond to the voice of God. That is why God allowed the phone calls to cease, why certain doors remain closed, and why He permitted some people to walk out of your life and remain gone. It was never truly about rejection. Rather, it was always about divine redirection. It was about making room for alignment with His perfect will and purpose for your life. While others may have believed that isolation would break you, that prolonged solitude would extinguish your inner fire, and that the silence would crush your spirit, the opposite occurred. Instead, that very stillness ignited within you something untouchable, your divine identity. In that quiet, sacred space, free from distractions and noise, you rediscovered who you truly are. You stopped chasing after external validation, no longer willing to settle for the emotional and spiritual crumbs offered by others, and you made the conscious decision to no longer diminish or explain the depth of your spirit to those who were firmly committed to misunderstanding you. And in the sacred stillness that followed this courageous shift, you came to a profound and transformative realization that you had never been truly alone, for the presence of God had been with you all along. Therefore, if you now find yourself in a similar season of isolation, do not be in a hurry to escape it, but rather choose to honor it, embrace it fully, and lean deeply into the growth and clarity it offers. Because when God completes His work within you in that hidden and sacred place of solitude, you will not emerge as the same person you once were. Instead, you will arise stronger in spirit, wiser in discernment, sharper in purpose, unshakable in faith, unbothered by distractions, and unapologetically walking in the fullness of your divine authority, revealing that the season of isolation was never a punishment, but rather a period of intentional preparation. And as you step boldly into the next level of your life, you will come to understand with absolute clarity that every lonely night, every unanswered call, and every door that once closed in your face was not a setback, but a setup for the purpose and greatness that now awaits you. Despite enduring relentless attacks, gossip, slander, jealousy, silent treatments, and spiritual warfare, you rose above it all by steadfastly refusing to become like those who sought to bring you down, never lowering your standards or matching their negative energy. Although you had every opportunity to expose them, retaliate, or allow bitterness to consume your heart, you consistently chose the high road, even in moments of loneliness, walking in grace when grace was not extended to you, maintaining both clean hands and a pure heart, and embracing healing over hatred, growth over gossip, and forgiveness over revenge, thereby demonstrating extraordinary strength and integrity. And to be honest, although it was far from easy, with moments when you nearly snapped, moments when you cried because the pain was overwhelming, and moments when you questioned whether being the bigger person was even worth the effort, you nevertheless understood deep within that protecting your peace held far greater value than winning any petty battle, that reacting in kind would only lower your vibration, and with that steadfast determination to keep rising, you are now being elevated not because you were perfect, but because you remained pure in a world that thrives on toxicity. You didn't chase clout, nor did you join the drama or throw shade just to feel seen. Instead, you stayed rooted in love and grounded in your faith, choosing to walk in integrity when it would have been easier to compromise. And that purity, that inner righteousness, which is rare, is what sets you apart and is being honored right now, not by man, but by God, For while the world celebrates power, success, image, and influence, heaven celebrates purity, humility, consistency, and character. And when the spotlight finally shines on you, it will not be merely because of your talent, but because of your spirit. For you were tested and passed not by fighting dirty, but by staying clean. And while others plotted your downfall, you prayed for your peace. While they threw stones, you built altars. And while they watched your every move with envy, you surrendered every step to God. And now he is honoring you publicly for everything you endured privately. For he saw what was done behind your back. He heard the whispers spoken in secret. And yet he chose to elevate you, not because you were unscathed, but because you did not let pain harden you, betrayal change you, or opposition steal your identity. Instead, you remained true to yourself, kept your soul intact, guarded your spirit even when your heart was breaking. And that is not weakness, but divine strength, the unmistakable fruit of being chosen. So never believe that your purity went unnoticed, or accept the lie that says nice people finish last, because you are not finishing last. You are rising right on time, and in a way that they will never understand. For what is elevating you is not clout but character, and character always wins. Chapter 7. This rise is just the beginning. For if you look around, chosen one, you will see that the very people who once plotted against you are now witnesses to your ascent. The ones who mocked your silence are now bewildered by your success. Those who tried to dim your light are now watching it shine brighter than ever. And those who swore you'd never recover are now whispering in awe about how you did. Some are watching in disbelief, others are silently inspired, and still others are convicted by their own actions as they come to realize they were wrong about you. But what you must understand is that this is not the final chapter. This rise is merely the beginning of all that God has planned for you. For you have not even scratched the surface of your anointing, and the platforms being prepared for you are far greater than anything you ever imagined. The opportunities that are coming your way were not built by human hands, but spoken into existence by God. And the doors that are opening are not a result of who you know, but of who knows you. For when heaven authorizes your elevation, no lie, curse, hex, delay, or hater can stand in its way. You may have been buried, yes, but you were never dead, for you were planted. A seed covered in dirt, watered by tears, strengthened by pressure, and now blooming in places they never imagined you would even set foot in. This ascent is not merely a pursuit of success. It is a journey driven by purpose, a profound commitment to fulfilling the divine assignment entrusted to you during your time on this earth. Every test you endured, every betrayal you faced, every sleepless night you survived, and every silent battle you fought in the shadows were not in vain. They were all divinely orchestrated to shape and prepare you for this very moment in your life. Therefore, walk forward with your head held high, not out of arrogance or pride, but with a deep and unwavering confidence that comes from the divine, not because you possess all the answers, but because you carry within you the undeniable presence of God. Your scars do not disqualify you. Rather, they serve as living evidence of your healing and resilience. Your journey, no matter how difficult or painful, does not reveal weakness. It reveals that you have been chosen. And as you continue to rise, hold this truth close to your heart and never forget it. You are not rising solely for your own sake. Rather, you are rising on behalf of those who remain trapped in their struggles, for the silent observers patiently awaiting undeniable proof that faith still prevails. You are rising not only for the present, but also for the generations yet to come. For your breakthrough will serve as a catalyst that shatters the chains binding others. Despite the attempts of witchcraft, deceit, jealousy, and even the forces of isolation, confusion, and spiritual sabotage aimed against you, you continue to rise. You rise with a grace that transcends circumstance, with a wisdom earned through experience, and with a power that is not derived from worldly sources, but emanates from within, from the indomitable spirit that refuses to surrender, from the soul steadfastly rooted in God, even when all around you seems to be crumbling. This rise, therefore, is not a matter of chance or coincidence. It is a divinely ordained movement. It is not a mere coincidence, but rather a profound confirmation. A confirmation that you were never truly alone, that throughout every trial and tribulation, Heaven consistently held its protective hand over you. That divine protection enveloped you even in moments when you were unaware of its presence. That your name was quietly whispered in the heavenly chambers, among angels, even as your enemies were uttering curses against you. O chosen one, you did not merely survive the challenges laid before you, but you triumphed over them, and now you stand on the precipice of thriving beyond all previous expectations. Therefore, prepare yourself, for this rise marks only the commencement of a greater journey. And your greatest achievements are not in the past, but are presently being revealed and unfolded before your very eyes. And if you're still hungry for more chapters to this journey, or a visual concept for a video or thumbnail, just say the word. I'm here and ready to help bring it all to life. Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe if you find this video interesting.